Good morning, church. We're looking at John chapter 9 today, so open your Bibles or your devices and let's jump in together. The story is about a man who had been born blind, takes up the entire chapter. The disciples with Jesus walking along the side of the road see this man who is blind, and they ask Jesus the question, who sinned that caused this man to be blind, his parents, or did he sin and bring this upon himself? And I'm going to let you comment on that question on our Facebook post. But Jesus' basic answer is this man was born blind many years earlier just so this meeting could take place today and God's glory could be revealed through him. And so Jesus bends down and takes mud and puts it on the man's eyes, tells him to go wash at the pool of Siloam, and when he does, he's able to see again. When the man's friends and neighbors see him, they're shocked by this. In fact, they even doubt that this is truly their friend. But he convinces them that he is. And they ask him, how in the world can you see? And he says, Jesus came along, this man Jesus, and he was able to heal me from my blindness. Well, the Pharisees are brought in because this healing took place on the Sabbath day. And so the rest of the chapter is this inquisition about what violations of the law took place and who's to blame because of it. The Pharisees say things like, this man can't be from God because he heals on the Sabbath day, and that's a violation of the law. They say things like, we know this man is a sinner. But the man who had been healed says things like, I think he's a prophet. And he says things like, all I know is that I was blind and now I can see. And there's something to that. In fact, he concludes by saying this, God is the only one that can bring about this kind of healing power. So if this man were not from God, he could do nothing. And at that, the religious leaders threw the man out of the temple, said, who are you to lecture us? And they're done with him. You know, the story is all about blindness, but it's not the blindness that first presents itself. It's not physical blindness. Jesus proves himself fully capable of taking away that kind of blindness. There is a kind of blindness, though, that Jesus cannot eradicate, spiritual blindness. And as this man slowly comes to faith, moving from believing that a man named Jesus to a prophet, to finally believing all I know is this man had to be from God because he was able to work these kind of miracles. As he comes to faith, we see the religious leaders and those in power continuing to reject coming to faith, saying things like, this man is not from God. He is a sinner. He is not to be trusted. Finally, as the story concludes, Jesus meets this man on the side of the road again. And Jesus says, do you believe in the Son of Man? The man says, tell me so that I can believe in him. And Jesus says, you have now seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking to you. Seen physically? Sure. Seen spiritually? Definitely. And so the man says, Lord, I believe. And he worshiped him. Two different approaches, two different responses to Jesus. Both at the beginning did not know, did not believe, did not have faith, but this man, through the events that took place for him, slowly became convinced that this Jesus who stood before him was worthy of his worship. The others, the religious leaders, those in power, saw the same things, heard the same testimony, and yet they continued to reject. You know, it really requires two things of us. It requires a willingness to listen and to search. And it also requires an openness to be changed by our searching. This willingness to explore and this openness to be changed by our exploration. A lot of people today have opinions about Jesus. They've fixed those opinions in their heart and they see everything through those lenses. Sometimes Christians do that too. But Jesus says, if you will honestly look at me and the things that I do, you'll come to faith in me. It's good talking with you today. I hope you'll comment on our Facebook post, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.